Alrighty. I've been thinking about something for a little bit and figured I'd just talk about it on YouTube. I know that sometimes folks in the anti-statist community might not be as happy with the success or lack thereof that we are seeing, but I think it's important to keep in mind that even if we don't see the results we want in our lifetime, we can get closer to the ideal. And I think it's important just not to give up in the struggle to undermine unjust authority, because if we do, then we'll never know how good we could have been. We'll never know about the benefits that we could have had. And what this kind of reminded me of was an article someone posted on Facebook, and it was about learned helplessness, and it was with this experiment where they had some dogs in, I guess, in a kennel or something, or whatever, a little fence, and excuse me. So they were shocking the dogs and stuff, and they were running around, but they couldn't get away. So over time, they learned that if they couldn't get away, they were basically destined for failure. They weren't even going to try, leaving, because obviously, why expend the effort if there's no reward? And then when they transferred them over to a smaller fence where they could jump over it, right, and get away from the shock, those dogs who were conditioned to basically for failure just stayed inside the fence anyways, even though they could have jumped out of it and gotten away. Whereas the dogs who were not jumped over the fence and got away. So I think this is something that can affect humans too, but I think it's important to remember that if we acknowledge it, then we can look out for it and maybe overcome it. And I think one of the concepts I look to for understanding this is economic aggregation. Even though I know others in the Austrian School of Economics may not like economic aggregation, it's important to keep in mind what it is. It's just counting. It's summing up things. Although you can't sum up the values of different individuals, but you can sum up quantities. And this does give you a look at the big picture. But I do agree with Friedrich Hayek's insight that aggregation conceals the mechanisms for change. And so although you see quantitative changes and a big picture, you don't really get to see the qualitative differences that are made at the individual level. But I think it's still important for purposes of analyzing things at times and seeing checking progress, so to speak. It's important to keep in mind that what economics, one of the things it teaches us is that the decentralized microeconomic decisions of thousands or millions of individuals aggregate into larger macroeconomic effects. And the thing about that is kind of like it's like the saying, if the dam overfloods or whatever, or the levees overflood, was it the last drop of water that did it? Was it the marginal unit of water, so to speak, or was it all the drops before? And of course the answer is neither. It had to be all of the drops of water together. Not to sound like a collectivist, but it is what it is. So any one of those drops by themselves is necessary but not sufficient. So it's only when they're all together that you see the larger effect. And that's the same way it is with people. So even if we don't have maybe a single individual within the movement that has a large influence, that's okay, because all of us together working doing our best to enacting the most efficient means of achieving the goals we want will enhance our likelihood of success by working together. Now, if we do have some individual that can generate a large influence, that's great. But not everyone is going to be able to do that, and that's just the way life is, as in anything. Just the way not everyone can be a doctor or a lawyer. Even without the supply restrictions of the state, some people would not have the skills to be a doctor or a lawyer. Because some people have natural talents that lead them elsewhere. Of course, this is a concept of comparative advantage. So it's important to keep. I just think it's important to keep this in mind when we sometimes get discouraged and see that things aren't going the way we would like for them to. It's important to keep our heads up and just keep looking for the best ways to achieve what we want to achieve. And the more we can pull our resources together to achieve this, maybe not literally like owning things in common or anything. I mean, hey, if you want to, go be my guest. But what I mean is, if we pull our efforts together, then I think we can, at least over time, get closer to the goal that we want to achieve.